Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today and welcome to the Elder Scrolls 6 Wishlist series, a series designed to dictate the future of the Elder Scrolls franchise. Every Thursday, and often I fail, I go into the comments and read your wishes for the future of Elder Scrolls, what Bethesda should change, what should they take inspiration from, and so on. Today we are returning to the Elder Scrolls 6 Wishlist series, talking about skill checks with Otter Insanity. I want to see skill checks in the world and through dialogue. It would really add to the role-playing elements and give interesting ways to get past events in the game. I don't know about you, but when I play a Bethesda RPG, I feel like I need to choose speech if I want to see advanced options in the story. An example of possible skill checks could be that the guy doesn't want to give me information, so I use the high illusion skill to trick him into giving me what I want. Another example is maybe a thief has ambushed me and is threatening to kill me if I don't give him all my stuff. Instead of fighting him or using my speech to convince him, I can use my blacksmithing skill to notice how dull his blade is and that it can barely cut butter. Then I can show my master-crafted sword and he can run away knowing that he has no chance to take me in a fight. Adding skill checks would make every character I create feel interesting and add unique ways to solve problems that don't involve swords or words. So yes, skill checks is something that Bethesda Game Studios games have lacked consistently. Now, Far Harbor did change that. It did add some skill checks and it was really refreshing and, more importantly, encouraging to see that type of skill check pop up during a quest line, which made my character build feel more exciting. It was really awesome to be prompted and think, wow, I'm actually capable to do this because of the way I crafted the character. So I think Bethesda is definitely well aware of what fans want when it comes to skill checks. I hope they are taking notes from, for example, Beyond Skyrim Bruma. That is a mod that actually just recently came out and had a lot of skill checks for players to do almost immediately. There were like 6 ways you could get through the gate, whether it was killing, lockpicking, or all the speech checks you could do, whether it was intimidating, convincing, etc. to get through. And then the first quest you encounter involves a ton of skill checks. So they were littered all over this mod. And I think Bethesda really needs to focus in on this mod here and look at what they did, because they managed to make an area, like I said in my review, that was so small feel so large because of the vast amount of content and options I had within that content. Also, one thing I want to highlight from Otter Insanity's comment is that he mentioned, for example, using an illusion skill to trick someone. And that's the other thing, is that Elder Scrolls has so many different types of magic, so many different types of skills, such rich lore, so much to pull from within this universe that skill checks would be awesome. For example, with all the lore books you have, it would be great if they were key items that some you could stash away and use for future conversations in reference. Because one thing I've noticed with really good skill checks in RPGs is it's not just about placing the skill check there to avoid combat. It's also good when it's there, for example, just to continue into a different direction into a conversation, even if it's like those multiple branching paths that all lead to the same road in a conversation where, for example, you're meeting a character for the first time. No matter what path you go with this character, you're going to end up with the quest, but perhaps you can extract additional information about the subject matter you're talking about if you've read a certain book in the Elder Scrolls universe, and you can carry on a little bit of a conversation about this book provided you actually read it. I also think that skill checks will tie into a silent protagonist, because that's where we see more skill checks being added to games, because you don't have to record the main protagonist saying like, hey, I read this book, I have this skill, oh, follow my illusion skill, yada yada yada. Instead, you just select your option and then you have the person you're talking to respond to you, so it enables a lot more lines to be recorded and a lot more skill checks to be involved in the gameplay. That's just my 2 cents on the matter. I don't think it's about always involving the combat and how you can avoid it, but more so highlighting the skills and specialties of your character in the game, recognizing that in any possible situation. I think the best way of doing that would be, for example, if Bethesda's writing a quest line, literally have a list on the wall in front of you of all the skills available in the game, and with each conversation you can have, what kind of skill can I interject here? Okay, we're talking about a warrior. If you're good with two-handed, you can maybe convince him to follow along with you because he's trusting in your combat skills. That's just a crappy example that's coming off the top of my head, but you get what I'm saying, where I think they can start interjecting more skill checks if they just keep it in mind. We've seen it in mods with both Skyrim and Fallout 4 that, yes, they can be added and it's not too difficult to do so. It's just about Bethesda really encouraging how we build our character. So that'll do it for this episode of the Elder Scrolls 6 wishlist. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below as they fuel this series entirely. So yes, it's nice to be back after that 3-week hiatus. So I'm looking forward to reading those comments, and I will catch you in the next episode. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that as it fuels all the content we create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.